Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gamansing. Governor Jongh delivered his annual State of the Territory address before a formal session of the 30th Legislature earlier this evening. In his 8th and final territory address, the governor used the speech to review the accomplishments and challenges the territory still faces. Here are some of his comments.
What I would like to propose tonight, directly to the Senate President, is that he and I agree to schedule a time when the members of the 30th Legislature and I will meet at Government House within 2 weeks following that hearing, and at that time hammer out an agreement as to how we can reduce our budget deficit by 50%. This will allow our government to operate even as we continue our efforts in Washington to secure the cover-over revenues. And if by the time of our next budget submission, Congress has not acted, or Interior continues to decline the release of the funds, we will at that time have to take further action. I believe that at this meeting we will, because we must, find a way forward. I do not believe that it will be easy, but I do believe that it will be done.
Be sure to tune in to Tuesday night's newscast for our team coverage. We'll hear what many had to say about the governor's final address. And don't forget President Obama's State of the Union address also on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. right here on CBS TV 2. The fiscal year 2014 budget is playing out in the media once again. Senators are firing back at the governor's financial team, who put the ball in the Senate's court to bridge a $70 million deficit during a press conference Friday. Senators said they're not the ones to blame. News 2's Erica Parsons has an update.
Senators are pushing back against the administration's assertion that the legislature fell short closing the budget deficit. The governor's financial team said during a press conference Friday they're now depending on the legislature to help bridge a $70 million gap for fiscal year 2014. With revenues down and expenses up, executive officials say the legislature needs to take action to either raise revenues through taxes or cut costs. But senators aren't accepting blame for the financial crisis. Senator Kenneth Gittin said in a statement that at some point the governor and his administration has to take ownership for the role they have played over the past 7 years in increasing the deficit. Senator Jeanette Millen-Young also commented, saying that while the governor's financial team continues to blame the legislature for their own financial failures, I will look past their disingenuous acts and press on to work with them to make changes to the VI code in order to spur economic development that promise to create new businesses and jobs. The governor's team said the first quarter's revenues are down 11% from the same time last year. They said if the Senate doesn't act, the government will run out of money before the fiscal year ends, and to keep that from happening, they'll have to reduce agency appropriations. The administration has in the past offered options to increase revenues and cut costs, but the legislature hadn't acted on them. Millen-Young said senators did act on 3 austerity measures by not supporting those bills that would hurt the masses. Senate President Sean Michael Malone put the budget deficit squarely back on the shoulders of the executive branch by maintaining that senators never got a balanced budget to begin with. He also said the legislature continues to receive flawed financial information from the administration, and they can't act without accurate information. Government House shot back, saying that the Senate is regularly updated on the financial situation and shouldn't be surprised over the deficit. They said it is time to declare peace over the budget and settle down to the serious work of resolving the budget shortfall. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Senator Malone also said that the Senate's Finance Committee will begin investigating the true state of the territory's finances next month during hearings with the administration's financial team. In other news, 2 pedestrians are dead following 2 separate vehicle accidents on St. Croix on January 25th. In both cases, the drivers fled the scene without rendering any assistance to the injured victims. The first accident occurred in the vicinity of the Golden Rock Shopping Center, where officers found the victim, later identified as 79-year-old Theodore Phillip of JFK Housing Community, lying in the roadway in the right eastbound lane.
The second accident occurred less than 2 hours later at about 8:30 p.m. on Constitution Hill Road. Police were notified by 911 dispatch of a male lying in the grass off the shoulder of the road. The victim was later identified as 54-year-old Socorro Parija of Constitution Hill. All body and repair shops are urged to contact police if a vehicle is brought to them with damages that may indicate they have been involved in a hit and run.
Major crime detectives on St. Thomas are investigating a shooting death that occurred on January 23rd, hours after two persons were shot in the area of Estate Mahogany. One victim died after the shooting, and the other was injured by gunshots. Police have identified the deceased victim as 22-year-old Keyshawn Doyling, and the injured victim is a 20-year-old male. Medical personnel said Doyling died from his injuries about 2:45 a.m. on January 24th. Police are urging anyone who was in the area or knows anything about this case to tell them what you know. Police on St. Thomas apprehended two suspects after they were identified as the persons who robbed the female victim on 8th Street in Sugar Estate, as News2 reported on Friday. Police spotted the two suspects fleeing the scene of the crime on January 24th. The suspects were later identified by the 21-year-old female victim as the persons who robbed her of her cell phone, gold earrings, and gold chain. Arrested were 19-year-old Vershawn Monsanto and 26-year-old Walter Hill III. The suspects were remanded to the Bureau of Corrections pending their advice of rights hearing. In addition, Monsanto was also arrested for a grand larceny that occurred on December 25th, 2013 at Subbase. He was identified as the person caught on surveillance tape removing more than $500 in cash from the register of Royal Caribbean Tire. The VI Police Department is still looking for help in some cases that remain unsolved. They're asking the community to send a Crime Stoppers tip to help them get to the bottom of these cases. News2's Shanika Robinson has this week's Crime Stoppers report.
On St. Croix on Saturday, June 18, 2011 at 1:30 p.m., 22-year-old Rasenjoni Williams and his 18-year-old wife, Amaria Williams, were found dead on the beach in La Grande Princess. Police were searching the area after receiving calls of shots fired at about 12:30 p.m. It appears that the couple was taking a stroll along La Grande Princess beachfront when they were killed. Speak Up, law enforcement needs your help to identify the person or persons responsible for these unsolved murders. On St. John on Tuesday, January 14th, police received a report from Denzel Klein Car Rental in Cruz Bay that 3 Jeep Wrangler spare tires had been stolen from vehicles parked in the business's parking lot. Please help police solve this crime and apprehend the thieves. And on St. Thomas on Friday, January 10th at about 8:45 p.m., 2 armed black males wearing hoodies and hats covering most of their faces entered the La Vegeta restaurant and robbed 2 women and a man. They took the suspects' handbags, cell phones, and over $100 in cash before leaving. Tell us what you know about this robbery so police can identify the suspects. Step up and be a part of the solution. Continue to make our islands a safer place to live and visit by telling us what you know about these or any other crimes at www.crimestoppersusvi.org or by simply calling 1-800-222-8477. Shaniqua Robinson, News 2.
Turning our attention stateside, the Florida congressman caught up in a cocaine scandal is stepping down from his seat, submitting his resignation to Speaker of the House John Boehner today. Danielle Nottingham reports from Capitol Hill.
Florida Republican Trey Radel's political future has been in question since his arrest last year for cocaine possession. Now he's resigning. In a letter to House Speaker John Boehner, Radel wrote, "While I have dealt with those issues on a personal level, it is my belief that professionally I cannot fully and effectively serve as a United States representative to the place I love and call home, Southwest Florida." Radel returned to Congress earlier this month and said he was not stepping down.
I really enjoy serving, and I want to get back to doing that and continue to do the good work that we've done.
Last October, Radel was caught in a sting buying cocaine from an undercover D.C. police officer. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor charge and took a leave of absence to undergo rehab treatment in Florida. The House Ethics Committee was preparing to launch an investigation to see if the first-term congressman broke any rules. Radel was also facing GOP primary challenges for a seat representing Fort Myers and Naples. The Florida Republican Party called for him to step down. Radel says he only used cocaine a handful of times and that his rehab treatment was for alcoholism. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And keeping our eye on the economy, this is the New York Stock Exchange with with our stock market watch. Shoppers say they are very concerned about the safety of their personal information following security breaches at Target and Neiman Marcus, but a new Associated Press poll finds few shoppers are taking steps to ensure their data is secure. Just 41% of respondents have checked their credit reports since the computer hackings. Even fewer have changed their online passwords at retailers' websites or requested new credit or debit card numbers from their bank. Here's our numbers there. The Dow down 31, NASDAQ 44, S&P also down 8. Coming up on News 2, a cruise to the warmer weather for those escaping the cold sounded like a great plan, but after a stop in St. Thomas, the Explorer of the Seas cruise ship had to make a detour because of a virus that sickened many passengers. That's coming up next. For more information on this illness, you can go to the Centers for Disease Control's website at www.cdc.gov/norovirus. The trial of a woman charged with helping arrange the unlicensed Botox injections that prosecutors say killed 37-year-old St. Croix native Karima Gordon back in 2012 began today in Jackson, Mississippi. Adult entertainer 40-year-old Natasha Stewart, also known as Pebbles the model, is charged with her death, facing maximum penalty of life in prison. Prosecutors say Gordon paid Stewart $200 for referring her to the person suspected of administering the injections. Authorities say Gordon died from blood clots in her lungs days after being injected with a silicone-type substance. Stewart has pleaded not guilty. Authorities said she falsely presented the person performing the procedure as a licensed medical professional. That person charged with giving the injections is Tracy Lynn Garner. Now, Garner was identified as the man, Morris Garner, but attorneys said Garner, who was born male, had sex reassignment surgery. Garner also is charged in the 2010 death of another woman who received similar injections. Authorities said Gordon became ill just a few hours after Garner performed the $1,500 procedure. A friend of Gordon's who drove to the Jackson, Mississippi home with her for the injections called Garner and asked what to do. According to the authorities, Garner recommended that Gordon take cough medicine. Gordon died days later at a Georgia hospital. We will keep you updated on the trial. The 56th Annual Grammy Awards unfolded as an orchestration of show-stopping performances while it honored music's legends and young stars. Daft Punk proved they did more than just get lucky, winning both Album of the Year and Record of the Year at the 56th Annual Grammy Awards. The anonymous artists deferred to their collaborators, including Pharrell Williams, to give thanks. Newcomer Lorde, who performed Royals, won Best Song of the Year and Best Pop Solo Performance. Macklemore and Ryan Lewis hit plenty of high notes and claimed Best New Artist and 3 rap Grammys. More than 30 gay and straight couples married as Madonna and Queen Latifah, as a highlight to the evening, joined the duo to perform their song, Same Love. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.